I normally mention that, remember, our service people are out there working every day to defend our country, and today I think it's even more appropriate with the tragedy that had happened again down there with, I believe at this point in time, 4 of our military personnel were shot and killed with some other in critical condition. So remember again in your prayers and for those that are suffering down there. The first item on the agenda is consider the approval of the minutes of March 20th, 2014.
I have reviewed the minutes and move that we accept them as presented.
Thank you.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next is consider register of claims totaling $917,379.06.
I'd move approval of the claims for that amount.
I would second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Under old business, we don't have any old business, so we're going to new business, and this is proposal for the C&G suppliers, and it has to be down here. And where's Nikki?
Well, I think we got that covered with Mike. We asked our legal counsel to kind of give us an update on that.
Okay, that's great.
We're basically, this document indicates that this individual is going to go out and get information for us on the prices, and I think Mike can give us a little bit more on what the numbers mean actually with the units of measurement. But basically what this is going out and getting the prices and the information for us and bring that back to us by the was it 28th, you said, of this month.
Yeah, basically, okay, I'll pick up a little bit on it. But basically, this is all to do with taking all of our trash fleet and other vehicles in the sanitary district and converting or buying new vehicles so that we can use natural gas. We're going to be saving quite a bit of money in doing this for the taxpayers, of course, being a real benefit to the environment. And what we've done at this point in time, and Mr. Klein can tell you more about that project. He's really headed it up, and we're really all excited about it. But basically what we're just covering today is that there are suppliers that there are different, you don't actually buy the gas. What you do is you buy it somebody else buys it, and you buy it from them, from my understanding. So we're going out, we're just basically, this bottom line is we're checking prices, getting competitive prices to get the lowest price we possibly can for our natural gas. So that's my way of doing it. As an engineer, I'll probably be able to give you a lot of different ways of explaining it. But the bottom line is we're just going out and getting quotes, and we want everybody to know that this is going to be a situation that we hired the representative who goes out and gets these quotes for the state of Indiana. So he's very knowledgeable. And since we're new in this business, we have went out to find the consultants that are really expert in it. So, Mr. Klein, we'd like to cover some more.
Yeah, actually, we could. This is an opportunity to set the price for the natural gas we would purchase to fill our vehicles for up to 3 years, or we could just buy it as it comes through the meter, just like you do at your house from Vector. So we don't have to take any of these proposals. It's like anything. It's like bananas or diesel fuel. It's, it goes up and down. It's a commodity. This gives us an opportunity to add some certainty to our budget if we can lock in for a longer period of time on the price. So Ted Summers, the accountant that does this purchasing for the state of Indiana and all the prisons in Indiana, and I think there's another community that's considering this. So we thought he'd be a good resource for us, and this was his recommended first step, that we see what the market, what's out there. Doing. And then he'll advise us what to do after that.
Very good. And if there are any questions about that, we'll take them at the end of the meeting, okay? I think it's pretty self-explanatory. We're just, and why we bring this up today, we're just letting the public know that we are going out and getting these quotes. By law, I don't believe we need to take an action on it, but we'd just like to keep everybody informed of what the district's doing. Next item on the agenda is the 8th Street project update. This is Tracy Barton, our sewer maintenance department head. Tracy, good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. Tracy Barton, Superintendent, Engineering, Sewer Maintenance. Just have some information for you.
Thank you.
After this project was started, one of my inspectors had contacted me on the 26th of March. He had some concerns about the integrity of the 24-inch VCP pipe that we were supposed to be connecting to on this project. Brought our televising technician in. He cameraed it, checked it all out, and on the west end, he determined that there was roughly 40 feet of pipe that was going to also have to come out. While he was there, I asked him if he had checked the other end, the east end. He said he had not. I asked him to go ahead and do that. There's an additional 25 feet on that end that needs to be replaced as well. The good thing about this is, in knowing that this might have been a situation we might have gotten into, we locked in some prices in the contract for per foot charges to install that pipe if we did have to do any more further than the original 120 feet. And that's what we're locked into, are the prices that were in the contract that we had agreed to.
Thanks, Tracy. Any questions?
Yeah, and Tracy, maybe John too, there's a rating system, right? When you look at these sewer videos and you see how bad the pipe is or how good the pipe is, there's kind of a standard assessment rating system on that, and that kind of tells you this needs to be replaced now. Or,
Yeah, and it's a PACP.
okay,
It's national. It's a national certification, and that's what all the CCTV guys use. And our guys are certified in that. We had an issue with this one because it was so badly deteriorated. We didn't want to take a chance of getting our camera hung up in that line when we originally found out the problem was there. And this is roughly 21 feet deep.
okay.
So we figured we'd get the rest of this fixed while we're there.
And I assume it was rated pretty poorly too.
Yes, very bad.
Joe, any questions?
Nope.
Thanks, Tracy.
Thank you,
Appreciate
gentlemen.
it. Next item on our agenda is the High Street project update, and John Anderson, our district engineer, will cover that.
John Anderson, District Engineer. Tuesday, our contractor was beginning digging on construction. Setting the first manhole on the project, it was determined that as they were digging their hole, they located the water main. Well, the water company had marked the water main approximately 10 to 12 foot farther away from where it actually is. So there are going to be, the water main is now where would be in our trench the whole length of where we were putting in this new sewer down Seymour Street, south of the Horizon Center. So we have to make a shift in our work. So there is going to be some cost changes. Do not know what those are going to be at this time. So the sewer, we've shifted it approximately 5 to 6 foot south. And this is also going to affect where the planned storm sewer that United Consulting is working on us for. There's going to be a shift on that as well. They're looking into where the casing pipe that's part of this project needs to go. So all the changes are still in the works, but for the sanitary line itself, the shift has been made, and contractor is moving forward based on where we've made the shift.
Okay, so he's still working.
He's still working, he's probably taking the day off right now. But he got the manhole was set yesterday at the new location.
You didn't actually break the water main,
No, the water main was not
which
broken.
is fortunate, very fortunate.
Yeah, maybe later I'd like to see, maybe we'll drive out there and you can show me what's going on.
Yeah.
There's a very important building down there, and then there's the hotel also.
Yeah.
So we really need to take care of that Seymour Street.
Yeah, when our building starts to put their foundations in, then our line will have to be in place, ready to go by then.
Yeah, so
And that's coming up too. So.
real quick.
Okay.
Thanks, John, for the report.
We'll
Appreciate
get
it.
together later today.
That concludes our agenda. This is our time. We'll take public comments. Anybody have anything to say? Before we get started there, I did, as I said, I apologize for being late from the MRC meeting, but it was interesting because we had about 4 different entities that came in. Brad Bookout, who handles the Brownfield, Vicky Veach, Downtown Redevelopment Director, and a few others, the mayor. And in each one of their comments, they all tied to the sanitary district, the downtown project, the project in the village, there's going to be at the entrance of Madison Street, down there, the old cleaners, that's going to be a park. Stormwater, we're participating in that. But it was really interesting that each one of those projects that was going on, the sanitary district had a little piece either through stormwater or new source separations, including the hotel. So again, I guess what I'm complimenting is all our people, Nikki Grisby to start with, and our department heads all the way through, and what a great job they do. I don't think anybody, unless they really look at everything that's going on, have a clue of what the sanitary district is involved with. And they touch every part of every project that's going on out there. So again, congratulations to our employees and our department heads, and for what a great job they're doing. The board that sits up here, and we're in the spotlight. We get credit for things, we get blamed for things, but very frankly, it's all those employees out there that really deserve the credit. Just a fabulous job.
I'd like to offer a kind of a technical reason why just about everywhere the city is planning on digging up a street for something that we need to be involved. And there's 2 reasons on stormwater. One is there's a movement by the EPA and IDEM to look at a quality aspect of stormwater. We haven't ever had to do that before. Just catch it in a pipe in an inlet and send it out to the creek. And now they want to clean it up before it goes out. So okay. When we have these opportunities on these gateway features or these other projects, we're implementing that. But secondly, and I don't know where you are on climate change, and it really doesn't matter what caused it, but we're trying to adapt to the climate change. We're getting about the same amount of rainfall each year, but it's coming in bigger bursts. It's coming in more like today. And almost every storm sewer we have in place is undersized. It cannot handle a new 10-year design storm. Wow. Based on what we're seeing. So every time the city, the MRC, is planning some development, it gives us an opportunity to go in there and upsize our storm sewer system to handle more flow, because we're seeing more flow, and it also to put that quality aspect piece in. So that's a technical reason why we're doing it.
Okay, that's really a good one, Mike. It really is. I keep getting educated from Mike here as time goes on, and what a great engineer we're very fortunate to have on our board and work very closely to coordinate all these projects. The definition I gave upstairs just a little while ago is that the mayor, very honestly, so we have Mike's explanation of what we're doing and why, okay, when these projects are going on. The other is the bottom line is the mayor's asked us not just to go in and just dig up a street, put a pipe in, close it up and move on, but to do whatever we do with sustainability, to improve the neighborhood of wherever we are, whether it's the village, the downtown. You're going to see a lot of projects that the sanitary district had to do anyway for these reasons, okay? Development reasons, the reasons Mike's quoted. But rather than to just go in and put that pipe in the ground, to bring community development in, to tie into that project that we're doing, to tie into neighborhood associations, to see exactly what can do to make each area better than what it was before we went into the area, and for the future. So it's really exciting. I'll just tell you, as far as a board member right now, it's exciting to see the projects that are going on, and from the downtown, the hotel, to the village, to the Dick's Sporting Goods out there. And at the MRC meeting, we said that project is, how much is it? Well, 11 to 12 million. How much is that project? 30 million. How much is that project? 25. This is private money that's going into this stuff. This is private money. Now, it's like priming a well. If you put the money out there to prime the well, like you have to put that water in to start. For those people who understand that, I'm from Philadelphia. I don't really understand that, but I understand you have to prime that well, you have to start it with a little bit of water, but then it flows. And the investment in these areas are really paying returns. I just got statistics from another committee that it showed the crime rate in downtown since we started the downtown project, which the sanitary district was a big part of years ago. The crime rate in the downtown area is one of the lowest in the city. It's the lowest in the city because of the development of people. And as we go into these neighborhoods and we enhance them and do it better, and I know I'm bragging, but I'm not bragging about us. I'm bragging about our people and the job they're doing. It really is exciting. So, again, I just want to cover that before we get into public comments, because it's easy to nitpick and say, well, this is wrong or that's wrong. But I'll guarantee you this, Tracy Barton's people are out there 24/7 on this rain. They'll be out there most of the night, and I see his head nodding. And in the middle of a snowstorm, those guys are out there picking up the trash. 10 below zero, they're out there picking up the trash. So, there's a lot of dedicated people in the sanitary district, and I don't think we never say enough about them because, they're government workers, they don't work hard, they stand around. Well, go out there someday with those trash trucks, go out there someday on that sewer maintenance, spend a day out there with these people, and then tell me they don't work hard. Okay, thanks for my 5-minute time up here. Let's go to the audience for their, any comments from anybody in the audience? Les?
Yes.
As usual, if you'll give us your name and address, we appreciate it.
Les Marsh, I'm a citizen of the world, 1218 Ridge Road. I realize that a whole lot of this stuff is, I come to the people that know I'm just a babbling idiot. A lot of these, they're mandated to do, I understand that. Does the sanitary district have enough money to sustain that without large borrowing? I'm curious about that. I really don't know what's.
Yeah,
you got to do it.
I think it's a great question, and I think you're absolutely right. To start out with, we're mandated. The previous administration had plans for $160 million worth of work to be done.
Yes.
And we're trying to do a lot of these things we're doing, and Mr. Klein can cover a lot of these different projects of where as we're doing these projects, we're saving money off of that 160.
Right.
Okay. So it's a lot of it that way. A lot of it is, and just go back to the stormwater. We, last year, this board reduced the rates of the stormwater by households by 40%. By 40, so in other words, in your next tax bill and your stormwater bill, your rates will be 40% less than it was a year ago. If you're a business, the mall, okay, we reduced it by 20%. So we've been able to control our expenses, tie these projects we had to do with what we're doing. I can't even give you an example of what we will save. And I'm going to use round figures, and Mike doesn't like me to do this, and he'll kick me.
No, I don't.
Okay,
Cut this
but
off.
we're going to save a considerable amount of money. Okay.
Yes.
And it doesn't take a genius to figure out if you're buying diesel fuel at an X price, okay, and if you're buying natural gas price about 50% less, and our trash trucks are out all week long,
right,
that's going to be a savings.
Yeah,
So I guess what I'm saying to you is by doing things of that nature, okay, we're saving money.
Right. The initial expense is pretty heavy, but in the end, and Mr. Klein mentioned you can lock a contract in for 3 years. I mean, that seems to be the only way to do it with the way the market fluctuates.
I think it's responsible government. That gives us some certainty.
Yeah.
If natural gas happens to drop 20% a year from now, we may look bad, but if it goes up 20%, we're good.
Well, it's not going to go down. None of this is going to go down. BP's involved in this, and they still got to pay for that oil slick.
Well,
It's not going down.
another thing is, and there's an element to that. We're also going to be letting private use this.
Right.
Now, with that said, if you're saying to somebody with a trucking firm, you're going to switch your trucks and use this natural gas facility, how long can you assure them that their price is going to be stable?
Right.
If you say, well, maybe a month, maybe 3 months, well, they're not so apt to spend the investment to switch their trucks over to natural gas. So an element of tying down the rates for a certain point of time,
Right.
not only for our own use, but also for out use, it helps.
I mean, I'd rather lock it in for 3 years, have it go down 20% than go up 100%.
We had
Just
to
don't know.
incur debt to build that facility. We didn't have that kind of money laying around.
Right.
However, the more we can get the private sector to utilize the station
Mm-hmm.
at a private sector rate, the quicker we can buy that debt down. So that's our goal. is to-
One more quick question. I used to do this on a small scale back in the 80s. A guy named Lowell Schaefer, I don't know if you knew him or not. If you ever met Lowell, you'd never forget him.
Right.
But what's the status of the combination sewers? I know that was mandated to change the combination sewers to separate stormwater and sewage.
Mike's really an expert on this, so.
I'm sure he is.
So, I mean, I think this is a good one for Mike to answer.
It's under study. One thing we found, and it's been confirmed in Muncie, in the White River, that we catch probably, of the 85 rain events typically that happen in Muncie, we catch all but about 15 of all the stormwater from 70 out of 85 rain events in our piping system, and we treat it at our treatment plant.
Okay.
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 Now, when you separate the system, those 70 storm events are going to go right to the White River.
Right.
Okay? They won't be treated in the treatment plant.
Right.
And you've got geese and ducks and yard fertilizer and
Yeah.
salt, whatever gets on the road into the inlet. So we're finding that there is a significant negative impact to the White River water quality
Uh-huh.
through stormwater.
Well.
And this kind of goes back to my first point earlier. There is a water quality effort going nationally on stormwater. So we think that if we could change the game and say, we're going to keep capturing that storm sewers,
Right.
we're not going to do as much separation as first envisioned,
Okay.
but we're going to allow some of the bigger storm events to continue to overflow. But we're going to prove to you that that's not going to be much different in the White River compared to the other option.
Okay.
But that's a process we've got to study. We're studying that now. By the end of this year, we hope to have that completed. We've hired some national firms to help us with this, all the modeling, the water quality modeling,
Right.
pipe modeling. And we're going to get the data. That's why I don't like Bill talking about dollars and numbers till we have everything done. Go down and meet with IDEM and say, look,
Right.
what about if we do this instead of doing that? Does it make sense to you? And then we'll go through the process of changing all that.
I tell you, I've replaced some of those combination sewers and there ain't nothing like it.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing like it.
Well,
It's,
we're fine, back to my point on climate change and intense rainstorms. The old way of separating, the way it was envisioned
Sure.
when this plan, was you put in a new sanitary sewer,
Mm-hmm.
you reconnect the laterals to that, and leave the old pipe in as the storm sewer.
Right.
That was the plan.
Mhm.
Well, that's too small. We're
Right.
finding that, you leave that old pipe
It is
in,
with the- it is with the
it's not gonna be able to
rear
take the storm event away, and they'll pond up, the inlets will back up. So that idea doesn't work anymore,
As I remember it, most of that stuff was, I don't know, 18 to 24 inches, maybe.
at best. Those were the bigger ones, yeah.
And some of it smaller, so.
In downtown High Street, the one
Mm-hmm.
that, John, that's an 18-inch combined sewer serving from Main Street
Right.
south to the tracks, 18-inch pipe,
It wasn't
all the
enough
stormwater,
then,
all the
but
sewer.
Now, there is climate change, and you're absolutely right. It won't take it, so. Thank you.
We're working on it.
Thanks for your comments, appreciate it. Anything else from the audience? Please, if you could just give us your name and your address, please.
Lori Burton, 3704 East Tulip Lane, Muncie.
Okay.
I wanted to talk to you about, there's been how we found out was we were getting ready to purchase a house, and on our title insurance, we had a lot of sewage bills that unfortunately weren't ours, but they were from tenants because we own rentals. And we've ended up having to pay them, even though we've taken them to small claims court. And Small Solutions has been very good to us. But there has been a discrepancy that we have come across for 1904, $1,904. that has been put on a lien on one of the rentals that we're going to be using as collateral. And after doing a lot of legwork and research on my part, we found out that there was a discrepancy because even though it's on our house, these are my only copies, I'm sorry, I really wasn't
It's
sure
okay.
what I needed. That
This
it's
is
really
fine. Thank you.
not ours. And we are asking you to consider releasing that on our,
Is that, I'm sorry, is that an actual lien, recorded lien?
yeah, it's on our taxes.
What's your address? Was it,
It's on that paper there.
is it the,
3704 East Tulip Lane is our home. And then the
what,
address is 1710 South Birch Street.
and,
And I talked to Phyllis last week, and there's been just one number transposed. I mean, accidents do happen. There was a lot of releases. We even have one that I don't think we paid by what Small Claims Solution said, but we got the release and it wasn't even ours. So, I mean, I know that there is human error, but this is really holding us back, and I don't feel like it's ours. We have paid a lot of things on Birch, which total $1,869.40. And I'm not sure that it's all been paid, but we have gotten releases because they've really been trying to work with us. We've been set up on a payment arrangement and been holding to that.
so, just let me ask, so what you're saying is that the lien is on a parcel that belongs to another piece of okay.
Another person and another piece of
And that-
property
And that property
is not,
belongs to 1121 West 10th Street?
yes,
That's part of that property?
yes. And we don't own that property.
When was, that lien must have been placed some time ago? Was that lien on there
Well,
for some time?
I don't know. On our taxes, I brought my tax bill, and it wasn't on that.
Okay.
So I don't really know. I think it was recorded in January of this year.
I don't know. I'll have to-
After this meeting, can you stay around for a few minutes while we make copies of all this?
Yes.
So we can get it.
If it's not right, we'll release it as soon as we can. So,
Okay.
And we're talking about quick?
Yeah, like
Okay, good,
today.
because
Well, no, I
our
understand.
closing is supposed to be tomorrow, and this is.
No, we'll get it worked out today.
Okay.
But I need to make sure that we'll make sure it's taken care
And
of.
my problem is the 1904, I guess, was grouped together, but no one can really tell us what ones they were, like amounts, to make the 1904. That was another question that we had.
What is this? It says Winton Place?
That, I assume, is like the additions in Muncie. I'm not really
You
sure.
just got that from the text? Okay,
Everything come from Phyllis, yes.
okay.
And I really wish you could consider somehow linking sewage bills to tenants, because it really makes us hard on landlords that have homes, and then we get stuck with these bills, and these people, it's hard to.
The problem we have is that, for instance, if you have a contract with a tenant, we're not a party to that. And so what we've actually tried to do is, and these guys can talk, Bill can talk about this a little bit, is actually send a bill to when it gets to a certain point, to the landowner, so that they can take it up with their tenants.
And we have done that. We've taken them to small claims and tried to get the
because
money back,
And
and
if
people
we try to
just,
sue, with the old, we're not doing that anymore, but if we would try to sue those tenants, we wouldn't technically have standing to do that, because the service is provided at the address, and your guys' contract, we're not a party to. So what we're
and
trying
there's
to.
no way that you could ever link it to the water, because that, to me, I mean,
Well,
would
the other
be-
problem we have is a lot of times, and I'm not saying you, but a lot of landlords will try to put bills like this and tenants' names, and then they never get paid, and the tenant moves out, and then new tenants come in, and they're still, then it becomes our job to try to track down those tenants who have moved on or are nowhere to be found.
I think it'll be easier now that you have moved to monthly.
I've just-
That was
that-
a great idea, whoever come up with
Every
that.
landlord, thank you. Basically, actually, as a board decision, I was being a little facetious there or bragging or something, but bottom line is, yes, that, the landlords that I talked to at this point in time are really happy to see that because,
Yes.
when we billed quarterly, it was almost 7 or 8 months before a landlord would even know that the bill was being delinquent.
Yeah,
At that time, they were
I
gone.
have 36 sewage bills that were not ours,
Yes,
that we
I-
have paid for someone
I-
else, and it is ridiculous.
But right now, to make this, what we're doing at this point in time, at 90 days, a landlord will be told, you have a delinquency here. So it won't be 9 months, it'll be 90 days.
And in our lease, we have revised it. If in 90 days, if they have a back sewage, it's just like rent, they're
Right.
out.
That's-
Because we
The
just,
other thing is, if you would take the average of that 90 days and get that deposit, in other words, as a security deposit, a sewer deposit, so you would have that 90 days, we would notify you that, and then you wouldn't be out any money, they would lose their security or their sewer security deposit. So, that's what I'm considering doing with some of the
Okay.
properties I
oh,
have.
that's a good idea, too. I
Okay.
didn't think about
Yeah,
that.
just say, look, there's your sewer bill, here's your average, okay? We need that as a deposit, just like if you damage the walls, you'll get that back if you paid your bill, but if they skip out on you, okay, at that point in time,
You have a
you'd have your cushion there.
Because unfortunately, a lot of these bills is went on our credit, and we went from
I-
A1 credit down to a poor, and that's just on us.
Not picking on Ball State, but there's a lot of transit, they come in, they rent a place, and they're gone, and when you're not notified for a long period of time, then you're right, but I think we've improved it immensely,
Yes.
and maybe we just haven't got.
And we could stay on top of things a lot better.
Yes, I think it will
because-
help.
Especially when you have quite a few, so thank you for listening to me.
Thanks for being a good taxpayer. Any other comments? You know the routine.
I do know the routine. John Hampton, 2304 North Benton Road,
Good.
also manager of SOS. And I just wanted to comment on Mrs. Burton's statements. They have made a Herculean effort to take care of this. They've been making a really good faith. They've been down there, so often. They've paid an awful lot on this from tenants who skipped out on them. So if there's any way the board can assist them, I think that would be a good thing.
Thank you for
That's-
those.
That's
those
all I have
comments.
to
Thank
say.
you very much. Thanks for, getting those signatures and getting those agreements done.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, are you going to be able to get with this right after
Yeah,
the meeting?
I'm gonna
Okay,
have
we're
to
going
look
to,
at it right
we're going to
now.
get right on
And
it.
you have her contact information?
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Can you leave a copy for the district, too?
Okay, make a copy of that, would you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Looks like you bought that out of a tax sale, is that correct? Yes. Okay.
Any other comments? With that, no other comments, we'll close the meeting. Please come forward, sir.
Howard Mays, 510 Eastwood Drive. I have two issues. First is why it takes two different companies to deal with the sanitation issues here with Muncie. I've dealt with both companies. It just seems to me if a company can do a better job and save taxpayers money in Muncie, why we just shouldn't go that route. I think the people at the current sanitation department were complacent in dealing with the peat drum issues as well, and I was caught up in that as well. Secondly, Muncie, to me, is a city of trash cans. I would hope the new trash trucks can use the alleys that are in my particular neighborhood and others, rather than have the trash cans line the streets. Currently, as I speak, I drove past in my neighborhood, 3 trash cans on their side, trash spilling out of them. The current trash cans are top-heavy, they're hard to maneuver. In my particular neighborhood, the garages are all in the alley, so it isn't like a nice newer neighborhood where the attached garage leads down to a driveway paved to the street. That's not the issue. It just seems to me that if we have new trucks, that we have perfectly good alleys. As I speak, my alley is cleaner than my street. And again, every place you drive, you just see the trash cans line the street. When this first happened, I spoke with the director of sanitation when they first moved to moving the trash cans out to the street. He said there were two issues. One, that the trucks that were bought previous administrations were not feasible for the width of the alley. I have two rentals on the south side of town, 18th off of Hoyt, 13th off of Port. Both those alleys are actually narrower than the alley behind the house that I have on Glenwood Avenue, which is a Ball State rental. And again, in that neighborhood, all the trash cans are out in front of the street. In the south side of town, they're, of course, in the back of the alley. So it just seems to me that something needs to be done about just the pickup.
Well, and I appreciate your comments. You know, the reason we moved the trash, there are a couple of reasons to the front, is across the country, this is the way it's been done. But it's $1.5 million decision, tax dollars. We saved $1.5 million a year by going to those trash trucks and the toter system rather than the alley. The other thing is the pictures that we had before and after of the alleys. It's interesting that people feel that when we were picking up trash in the alleys, they would dump everything back there. It would be refrigerators, mattresses, especially in the Ball State area. And we would actually have to go back out into those areas because of some of the equipment. The trash trucks, you're right, it's hard for them to arm to come down in the alley, and so it takes 3 guys to do the alley versus 1 employee. The other part is there's an item called a Peterson, and that Peterson is, if you put all your trash out, including a mattress or a refrigerator or whatever it may be, that Peterson can go down the regular street and pick up a refrigerator and put it onto their truck bed. Same with mattresses. That again saved, I can't tell you how many man hours, but at the time before we put that system in, we were rated higher as far as insurance, workman's comp, for a trash worker than a policeman or fireman. The chances of them getting hit by a car or a back injury, okay, or some others getting stuck with needles were higher than those others. We've saved a tremendous amount of tax dollars, okay, for switching that over. What we have set up, and I've had some complaints lately in the Ball State area, okay? In fact, one of the city council people talked to me at some event. We have 3 code enforcement and people that are actually paid, but it's either 2 or 3, let me say 2 to be sure, that they go out and they'll give a citation if somebody leaves their trash container out more than 24 hours. I think a district became a little bit lax maybe in that aspect.
Hasn't happened in my neighborhood.
Yeah, and so consequently, I spoke to Nikki Grisby a couple weeks ago, who's talked to Phil Reagan, and we're now getting up-to-date reports from those code enforcements to make sure that we do get those, because I think you're right. I think putting the trash container out, and again, everybody has an opinion, and I appreciate yours, and I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but we do have pictures of the trash containers overflowing, dogs breaking open.
That's all in the street now.
Yeah,
It
well,
used to be in the alley where you didn't see it. Now it's in the street where you can see it.
Well, see, and there again comes down to code enforcement. Our regulation has been, and since I've been associated with the district 20 years, everything needs to be in a plastic bag and it has to be in a toter. The problem is that when that's not followed, there's where the problem occurs, because otherwise you have a trash container that's all contained, the trash truck picks it up, people take it back in the timely manner. So the system, if followed, is a pretty good system. It saves the taxpayers, which I know you're interested in, a bunch of dollars. We have to make sure that system, as a district, we have to make sure that's followed, and we will redouble our efforts for
The
that.
natural gas trucks that you're proposing, do they fit down the alleys in? Will they be able to be, moved around to the back instead of having the trash cans around front?
It's not the size, but basically it's the overhead wires and stuff that picking it up. It isn't so much the width of the truck, it's the arms that pick this stuff up where the problem is. And so the answer, unfortunately, I'm going to give you the answer you don't want to hear.
Now, do you guys upkeep the alleys? Do you relay the gravel, or is that a different department?
That's the city does that.
What neighborhood do you live in?
I'm sorry, say again?
What neighborhood do you live in?
Eastwood, it's off of East 32.
And anytime
The main problem, though, is the Ball State area. I mean, it's
yeah,
filthy down
that's where you have the
there.
rentals.
I mean, it's
If-
and same kind of things she was talking about. They're going to get this bill, and they're going to say, "Oh, well, who cares? That's my landlord's
Right.
deal."
Right.
And the landlord's not going to take care of it. He lives in Minnesota.
Well, I agree with you. That could be a problem. But what we will do is, we'll communicate with the owner and let them know what's doing. I promise you this, we will double our efforts to make sure that those containers, that the trash is in bags, it's not laying around, and that,
And again, even if they take them off the street, they're up by the front porch, they're up in the front yard someplace, it's just disgusting, it's unsightly. People out that, come in the neighborhood, or come in the area, I'm sure see that and think the same thing.
I can't tell you don't have a point. I'm not going to say that you don't have a point, okay? But what the board and the sanitary district has said, let's take the whole picture, tax dollars, this and everything else, minus this, how did it come out? And that was what our decision was based on.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to disagree that you have a point.
Yeah.
We just have to make sure that we can do everything we can, that we don't add to that point, that we make it better.
Again, you were talking about the natural gas trucks being cleaner and so forth. Well, that's the sacrifice of having the front yards trashed out. So, but I understand, gentlemen. Thank you for your time today.
Hey, look,
Appreciate
you presented your case very well. Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? No, we'll adjourn the meeting then, and our next meeting will be April 16th, 10 o'clock, same place. Thank you, everybody.